Alright, here's the finished product. The chicken rigatoni Alla vodka. So, this is a rosé sauce. It's got a bit of a warmth to it. It's very nice. The flavors are very fresh. The classic cream and tomato, the bit of pepper to it. The chicken, very garlicky, adds a lot of warmth. Truly just a scrumptious dish. Alright, so the recipe today has been taken from Bon Appetit. We've made a couple adjustments here. So I have the original recipe on the far left, which did not include any form of chicken, and the modified recipe in the center, as well as the instructions for the chicken on the right. In the modified recipe, I've added more onions, I have made the basil leaves optional, and I have included the addition of some Vietnamese fish sauce. It is relatively important that if you do fish sauce, you do use Vietnamese. Main reason being is it's less fishy. Personally, I'm not a fish guy. It makes me a little ill, so fishy stuff is kind of off the table for me. And on the right here, I've included the ingredients for the chicken. Now, I'm very sorry, but I failed to include the processing of the chicken. It's very simple. You take your deboned or previously deboned chicken breasts. You rub them down with an appropriate amount of each spice. 1 teaspoon of salt, half a tablespoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of garlic, and half a teaspoon of black pepper. And that's just a very basic, quick and easy chicken prep. They should look slightly reddish, smell like garlic. You're going to put a little bit of butter and olive oil, or just olive oil on the bottom of a pan, just enough to cover it. And you're going to quickly make sure both sides of the chicken are covered in it. Then you're going to cook the chicken for about 50 minutes at 350 roast on your oven. I've got a convection oven, so it's going to take me a bit longer to cook. So you, depending on how well you know your oven, do adjust this for your chicken. Get yourself a decent amount of olive oil, just enough to, once you put stuff in it, coat the base of the pan. It's not bad. Cut yourself anywhere between 1 and 3 medium small onions. You got a bigger onion, just do 1. You got tiny ones, do up to 3. Set your burner relatively low. Ideally, you probably just want to sweat this. Give me a second, I'm looking for a spatula here. Tough life looking for a spat. Spread it out, make sure it kind of coats the bottom. You don't have to use a Dutch oven. I prefer to, you don't have to though. Just put the lid on. This will allow it to sweat. So the idea here is the heat should break down the cells in the onion. The water releases, creates steam, which provides a better interface for heat on the upper side of the onion and allows it to break down further. It reduces the odds of burning, especially if you keep the burner relatively low. So I've already done it here, but you want to crush your garlic. You take your knife, right? Just push down on it. It normally makes it flat. Saves you a little bit of time of slicing one way, slicing the other way, and then once you're done, just chop it up. Okay, the garlic is relatively roughly chopped. So you can see the stuff is steaming nicely, right? Most splendid. So this is just going to steam with everything else. The onions have started to brown. This is ideally what we'd like. Not as brown as it would be if I wasn't steaming it, or sweating it, whatever you like to call it. Doesn't matter too much. A little bit of brown adds a little bit of flavor. We're going to be adding the tomato paste relatively soon to deglaze. Soonish. You'll see shortly. Okay, so this is about as brown as you want it. At this point, you're going to take a can of tomato paste. You are going to add it in, but I can't do that with my 2 hands. You get like a GoPro or something, unfortunately. This should remove any caramelized proteins, whatever else, sugars, from the side of the pan. It's just kind of how tomato paste works. A lot of other deglazing agents you can use, but for this step we're going to use tomato paste. So the tomato paste has been added. Friendly reminder to use a spatula on the inside of the tomato paste can. Get all the tomato paste out. Yes, there is a difference between tomato paste and crushed or whatever other tomatoes. Tomato paste is much more concentrated. The pH is a little different as well. But you're really getting that concentrated tomato flavor here. So this might not look like a lot right now, but the idea here is realistically you want to have this kind of brown a bit. So you want the fluid to leave and you want the tomatoes to caramelize further in the concentrated solution, okay? So you're just going to leave this for a while on very low heat. And while this is being done, you're going to set up a pot of water and get it boiling, alright? Quick heads up, almost forgot, you need to add half a teaspoon of chili flakes. Do not forget to do that. Okay, so you can see in the pot here. It's got a decent amount of water, about enough for 1 pound of rigatoni. For people using normal measurements, this is about half a kilogram, 450 grams or so, right? You're going to take salt, you're going to throw it in there. This increases the boiling point of the water, and proves how the pasta tastes. It's worth mentioning, so when your tomatoes start looking like this, I'm not sure if you can tell, but they're a little darker than the red of my pot. They start sticking, they start caramelizing, they start getting darker, right? This is almost the point where you're going to be adding vodka. This deglazes the tomato even further off of the pan and incorporates the flavor. Now, ideally, if you live in the US or elsewhere, I'd recommend using Tito's vodka. However, due to tariffs, Canada no longer carries Tito's, and I'm using Northern Keep. It is not maybe the best choice for this dish, as it does taste a bit citrusy, so it's fine, it blends with the tomatoes, but it's not neutral like Tito's is. That's spelled T-I-T-O. If you can find it in your local liquor store, wherever you may be, I'd highly recommend that. It's also good for making vanilla extract. Now, something that not a lot of recipes will recommend doing, but I think you should, fish sauce. Just a little bit, not a lot, just, I don't know, for this dish, maybe a teaspoon and a bit. Specifically, Vietnamese fish sauce, not Thai. Vietnamese fish sauce tastes a lot less fishy, and I hate fish. You could use Thai if you want, but you don't want your pasta tasting like fish. At least, not this one. This is not a fish pasta, this is chicken. When my chicken tastes fishy, I have an issue. Just gonna add a little bit. Yeah, just a smidgen. It'll mostly come off. It's gonna smell fishy for a bit. You don't have to do this, but this really adds a lot of glutamates into it. Really just improves the overall taste. It's gonna smell bad, especially as a man who hates fish, can't stand it. But the tomato eventually will destroy most of the odor, or the more volatile compounds will steam off. I don't know if you can see here, but we got a decent amount coming off. Not mentioned previously, but you should put a lid on your pot. It's almost time for the vodka. I'll come back when it's time. I've taken a moment here to pull my chicken out of the oven just to flip it. It's about 30 minutes into the cooking process. It's got another 20 to go. My chicken may look relatively unseasoned, and as mentioned earlier, it is. It's just paprika, salt, pepper, and garlic, but that's a chicken classic. Just flip it partway through. Make sure it cooks evenly. It's going to be done perfectly by the time it comes out, hopefully. So, you can see it's very dark red now. It's successfully caramelized, whatever you want to call it. So now, we're going to be adding the vodka. Okay, 1/4 of a cup of vodka. So mix it in. Try to get everything off the edges. It's going to deglaze it. I know this looks silly, but I'm just trying to get the stuff off the edges here. There's a lot of flavor. Might have to give up on that far edge close to me. Just want to mix that in, make sure it gets into the tomatoes, gets into the onions and the garlic and everything else that's here. Friendly reminder, like, you don't want anything to burn. Burning kind of removes the flavor. You want that soft, mellow taste of everything just kind of amalgamated together, right? You're just going to continue to keep that on low here. Dutch oven holds the heat well, you just need to hold it at temp. You don't want to burn. Just going to spread this out. And we're good for the next little while. Okay, so right after you put the vodka in, about 30 seconds later, 1 minute, you're going to want to take about a 1/4 cup boiling water. Maybe a little less, doesn't really matter, just add fluid. Just going to take a little bit more. Okay. Now, what you also want to do is you want to take what's called heavy cream, which is 35%, Up here I got Nielsen. Doesn't really matter what brand you use, it's the same product. That was a close one. And you're just going to mix that in. Stop it from curdling, separating, whatever you want to call it. It's going to turn orange eventually. Make sure it's properly mixed in here. Very, very important. You now have the base by which you'll thicken or thin or whatever else you need to do. Now, you can see here I have boiling water. I've got about 13 minutes left on the chicken. Now, because you put salt in it, I think it takes the pasta longer to boil. And in this instance, we're also using rigatoni. I'm going to turn the heat back on. Basically, it looks like giant penne. You're going to want to put in about a pound. Now, if you're smart and clever, you'll do this without burning yourself. Or, if you're lucky like me, you'll also get away without burning yourself. So, we've just put about a pound of it in there. Great stuff. Doesn't really matter what you use to stir it. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to do it. It's just a net. So I'm going to use this later to actually fish them out. Rigatoni, for whatever reason, takes longer to cook. If you're doing penne, maybe put your noodles in a little bit later. Whatever you've done traditionally for it, I don't know, 5-7 minutes. But rigatoni, I don't know why, it just takes forever. I think the pasta wall is thicker. So your sauce is done. Your rigatoni is there. In the meantime, if you want, you can either buy grated Parmesan or grate it yourself, or Pecorino Romano. That's the name of the other cheese. I couldn't remember it at the time when I was recording, but I got it now. Okay, so here's where we cook the chicken in. The noodles are about a minute or two away from being done. The timer just ran out. Looks like the noodles take about 15. We're going to take all those juices, right? Straight in. Please, please, please use a hot mitt when you're doing that. Very, very important. You're just going to mix that in, incorporate into the sauce. Adds a lot of flavor. Don't want to waste it. All those caramelized meat proteins and whatnot. Okay. Then over here, we have the chicken. I'm going to cut it up. Okay, chicken's been cut up. You can see it's not dry at all. It's steaming. It's very, very warm. Oh, tastes delicious. Juicy. No complaints. Let's go and straight in the pot. Okay, so the noodles, they're almost perfectly al dente, which means like slightly hard. They're cooked through, but you know, they haven't gone soggy, right? You're going to take half a cup of the boiling water, ignore the noodle. You're going to put it in the pot. You're going to mix that in real quick. Now this might seem silly. This is to thin out your sauce a little. You can see the chicken's been added there. After I chopped, I added in. So it's very hot, right? Then you're going to take your Parmesan, about 1 cup. You're going to cake most of it in there. You can do all of it if you want. It's just you want to make sure it melts, okay? It looks like it went pretty well. Let's get the rest of the Parmesan in there. It's 1 cup. You can add more if you want. Everybody likes cheese. Except, well, even some people with lactose intolerance can eat cheese, actually, now I really think about it. Okay, you're going to take this thingamabob, you're going to grab your noodles. You can strain them using a normal strainer if you want, it doesn't matter. Just so long as you get them in there. You want them to be wet, you want there to be heat. It finishes the sauce off or whatever. Towards the end, it is going to get difficult to grab the noodles. I'm going to stop the video here, you don't need to see me scooping. Truly scrumptious dish. You can add more of the Parmesan if you want. Doesn't really matter. If you like it, you do. If you don't, you don't. It's recommended you add basil on top. I don't know how much it matters. It's a little hard to get fresh basil right now, but... Well, no, it's not actually hard. I just don't want to pay a couple bucks for it. My herbs haven't started growing yet, so... Once they do, hopefully we'll have fresh basil. Enjoy your meal, eh?